Thanks. Thank you. All right. There's some irony to this presentation because I'm going to talk to you about being lost in technology, and that's pretty much all I do. I'm here today because I'm really lucky, and there's been some great stories already shared with you guys about people that took risks. They got off the train. Well, we had a great little airplane story too. My story is actually a story born of frustration. I worked in enterprise companies, and I was a fantastic cog in the wheel. But I didn't feel it was fulfilling. I felt it was empty. And what was interesting about it was it wasn't until I got brought to an absolute brink of frustration that my world started changing. And so today, when I really thought about what I wanted to share with you guys, was I wanted to really transparently share a few things that I've learned along the way. And I certainly hope you can take something away from it. So the first part of the story is a firm belief in the notion of efficiency and not technology. Somewhere along the way, we have entirely lost our way. Technology is supposed to be a series of process, steps, tools, and there will be, of course, physical outcomes, things, that help us get something done more effectively. What does that mean? Well, it means maybe we can do it faster. Maybe we can do it with less effort. Maybe we can create greater quality. I don't know. How do you guys feel about wearables for dogs? Do wearables for dogs help us? If you go to the CES show, how about drones? Do drones help us? Did you know that there were 670,000 patents filed in the last year? A decade ago, there were 290,000. This is in the US alone. Do we have twice as many problems that we're trying to solve? Or are we just inventing stuff? Are we just figuring out what we can create? And then we're trying to figure out how we fit into it. How we flip-flop the very necessity of technology. A great example of a use of technology in process is actually how a primate opens up a banana. Ironically, it's exactly the opposite of the way most of us open up bananas. They open it from the seed end, and they peel it with one single move and expose the fleshy goodness of a banana. Whereas most humans actually go the opposite way, and we have like several extra steps. Along the lines of efficiency and technology, I guess it comes also as this whole concept of the screen. The screen is an amazing thing. It's a portal into everything. I'm not here to lecture you guys about social networks and behaving and figuring out where to use it. But what is interesting when it comes to screens is the screens are actually pulling us away from what we're doing, what we're in, from this moment, the moment we have right now. And I'm victim to it too. And actually, in fact, I have two great stories all in the last week. As I was honing up this presentation and thinking about what I wanted to talk about, I was at a local lumber supply shop with a friend. And it was actually kind of ironic because instead of having a POS system where they scan the barcodes and get me efficiently through there, the gentleman was handwriting out what we were about to purchase and adding the totals with a calculator. Rather than engaging in a conversation or maybe cracking a joke about the fact that he was still doing this or whatever it could be, I looked up from my screen, only to find my friend also looking at hers. And he was doing his own thing. There was an entirely lost moment, an entirely lost connection at that very moment. And so I put down my screen, and I engaged in a conversation. And I'll tell you, it was amazing. And it would have been totally missed. Totally missed. A couple days later, I was lucky enough to be on a helicopter in the interior of BC, experiencing the thrill of powder snow chest deep, literally coughing dry snow as we were shooting down the mountain. I was with 3 other friends. We were in the helicopter ascending for our next run. I was so thrilled. I raised my hand for a high five. Who doesn't raise a hand for a high five in that exact moment? Only to see my friend sending a photo of us skiing to someone far away, anonymous, and not present. I lowered my hand shyly. Another lost moment. So when it comes to these screens, when it comes to technology, And then we think about our presence in using these technologies. What's also interesting is, we might have different ways that we identify with the world that connects with the other end of these screens. There could be different social networks. There's a Facebook network, the LinkedIn network, we have Twitter, Instagram, the list goes on. And what's also interesting is it's carving. We carve different pieces of who we are into each one of these. I use LinkedIn for business. I use Facebook for friends and social. I try to keep my network separately. I'm bifurcating my human self into different screens and portals. So then this brings us to this notion of, what do we spend the majority of our adult lives doing? Well, sleeping, maybe. The truthful reality right now is most of us probably spend our time working. And we bring our work selves to the place where we carry out the function of our work. We're professionals. We're career-driven. We're moving up the ladder. Maybe we're entrepreneurs and we're inventing new things and building businesses and building opportunities. Maybe we're inventing really meaningful technology. Maybe we're inventing useless technology that will eventually be put on dogs so we can make sure that their heart rate's steady. But what is also interesting is we're separating. And how many of you have heard the notion of it's just business? What allows us to constitute such a statement? What does that mean when we say it's just business? Well, it means that we've decided to choose our business self and our business attributes and our business ethics, and we're applying that, and we're finding justification in how we've interacted with that individual and what person we brought forward. But why? Why can't we just be one? Why are we being separated into two? So I have had the distinct pleasure of actually I run a community, and I think about it every day. I do not run a company. My company started not because I had the intention and vision of building a company, is because I was frustrated. And I went out on my own, and I hung out in board shorts, and I did what people asked me to do, over the phone or over the internet. And for 5 years, I slogged it out, and I had some of the best days of my life. I wakeboarded every day. I didn't separate who I was from what I did. I was very transparent. And you know what was amazing? I was taught a really interesting lesson. People like that. People like to know who they're actually interacting with. And along the way, I got too busy. It was just too much. So I brought on one person. And this was 5 years ago. I brought on one contractor. I didn't want the politics. I don't want the bureaucracy of a company. I just need help with one thing. And as I've blinked a number of times, now there's 125 people that I'm sharing this experience with. And we've done nothing conventional at all. And my gosh, winning the third best place in Canada to work under 1,000 employees it wasn't a goal or an objective, it was an outcome. It was an outcome of bringing these worlds together. And today, our community, the real objective of this is to create opportunity. Our values are distilled from the collective values of the people that work there. So as we grow, we double every year. We actually do inventory of everyone's values that works for the company. And then we actually change the values of the company based on that. So we can all live and operate in harmony between these two worlds. Another consideration along the way that I've stumbled upon is this notion of balance, work-life balance, another bifurcation of the human soul. Why do these things not operate together? And so when we talk about it, it's important that we live in harmony. And the difference between balance and harmony is really interesting. And I urge you guys to consider this as you grow through your careers, or you look at your days, you look at how you spend your time, or when you look at things that have finite amounts. Balance means there's failure and success, and there's a minimal line between those two, which may allow you to achieve this almost impossible happiness. Harmony means they live together. And there's times in your lives where you'll be able to have more, and you'll have higher capacity, and those things will operate in harmony, and they'll have different balances. They'll have different amounts to them. But it's important that we don't set these buckets that really mean nothing. And so I encourage you to consider harmony as you go forward and think about harmony in terms of how you're allocating your time, what you're doing, how you're fulfilling your very being. The next thing that I've learned along my journey is this whole notion of connections, not contacts. I'm indifferent of how many likes I get, Facebook friends or LinkedIn connections. Those aren't measures. They're not meaningful. Those people all might just hate me, right? They just know that they need to keep track of me because I'm coming to get them. But connections, those are the ones, that's what's meaningful. It's actually someone that knows you for who you are. And what's interesting about that is even when we're building this business, and of course the business generates revenue, and we need money to hire, create more opportunities and all kind of cycles. We have one of the smallest sales organizations in any technology company I know of. And what's interesting about this sales organization is we sell based on friends. Our territories are planned based on what we call friends of traction. And what we do is we figure out who likes who, and then those people will continue to work with the clients or those individuals throughout their whole careers. Because the one thing we've also found is people change jobs. They're searching for different balance. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And every time they move, it's basically keep new friends, or make new friends, keep the old. One is silver, the other is gold. And what's amazing about this is our network continues to unfold and expand. And what we're doing is we're creating and maintaining these connections with people who also understand the individuals and the values of the company. And it's all becoming one thing. So we'll fall away at times. We'll make mistakes. But guess what the first phone calls are? They're the people that want us to succeed, who are our friends, who we have unified connections with. The next thing is a belief that I have in people, not companies. And I think a great way to illustrate this and encourage you guys to think about business. When you think about business, I've done a lot of speaking to entrepreneurs, and the first thing is, okay, I have an idea, I need to capitalize it. I need money. How do I get money? Private equity. I want to go public. I want to do all these things. Why would you bring strangers in? Why wouldn't you look towards the people that are closest to you? So when it comes to organizations and building organizations that are going to have meaning and have value, BC, our wonderful province of innovation, many people here will hopefully stick around and really help continue to build the community. Here, it has this thing called 50 millionitis. You kind of get up to the $50 million mark, and then you just go like, bah, I got to get out of here. How did I get here? And they sell, right? But what if we build more anchors? And what if we invest in the people? And what if the first investors, the first people we bring into the fold, are the people who actually work there, the employees? And who could be the next people? Well, what if you let your customers invest next? Don't they have a stake in all this? Then you start going to these outer worlds. What we're seeing in oil and gas and all these industries right now is really the business hand, right? The lack of context and lack of consideration for people is fundamentally changing people. How is that right? So as I kind of round this all out, I want to bring in two concepts. The first one is we can choose how technology affects us. And the choice starts with something as simple as choosing when you want it to touch you. Right? Every application you install on your iOS or Android device gives you a choice of push or pull. What choice are you making? Are you actually making a choice, or are you just subscribing to the default? And the default is for you to serve them, as opposed to the technology to serve you. So this is the first thing I urge you guys to consider and be very conscious of, because it will pull you away from some of the most intimate moments of your life. The other thing I'd like you to consider is this whole notion of just being consistent and common, regardless of whatever persona you want to put out there. And this is the notion and the desire of being known. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day.